So, and I'm going to ask my two panel members to briefly say their point of departure in terms of what they understand we're going to do next. And the slide that I'm going to put up is that I took from the yearbook, because there's a thin line between an artistic perspective of photos and the aim of it, and also the authenticity of that picture. So, Cora, if you want to say a few words from an introductory perspective, you can go to the next one.
Oh, I would say that if you take a photo, any one of us, it would be to have different, we would have different reasons for doing this. It might be just for your own record keeping, so you would like to remember afterwards what was going on in your Clivia collection. And then there would be another use, and that would be for showing it. Maybe you could say for bragging about it on social media. So that would be another reason you would take it. And then also for competitions. So in these competitions, there are different kinds, the virtual show, and then also a photography competition. And it wouldn't be the same purpose. So that makes a big difference, whether you want to do it for that. And then the last category would be selling. In other words, you're asking somebody to do something when you send them the photo. So they must act on that photo. So all of those, I feel, would have different standards and a different way of approaching.
Yeah, if I could just sort of add what Cora just said. I think we live in times where photos and the way we can share photos and multimedia and the different fields is becoming really part of Clivia. I don't think you can separate having Clivias and not be able to take photos. We all, or not all of us, some of us started off with cameras and some invested in cameras. I myself lately found that my camera is sitting on a stand and I'm not using it. I'm only using my cell phone. And in my case, my objective is to try and get a photo as close as what the Clivia looks. Obviously, you will not find me, or I say obviously, up to now I haven't entered any photos into photo competitions because I haven't taken good photos in terms of the standard I think they need for competitions. But I do take photos where hopefully I can enter them in the shows, and then also for just general publicizing, seed list, etc.
So thank you for the two panel members. Can I ask from this table then, what is your perspective on the role of photography, and how can we contextualize it?
One of the first things I've learned is that whenever you want to purchase a Clivia, you have to purchase it in flower. So it's not always possible to get all over the country. So the way to go is looking at seed lists or photographs of the item you want to purchase. So for me personally, it's very, very important to get as a true picture as what the real McCoy looks like.
Thank you, Rian. So it seems that the sales part is very important. So in our discussion, there's three things that we're going to focus on now. So I'm going to let the panel go through the criteria that we often use, or where we publish our photos in. So the first one will be, and I think because Glenn sent out it recently, this is one of the most important places where we use photos and we publish them. usually ends up in the front page or in the photo competition in the yearbook. We often have an artistic competition as part of that as well. And I think I'm lucky to have last year's co-winner on my left-hand side. So Cora, would you like to say something about publishing in the photo competition?
Yes, I think it was because of pressure from Glenn Middlewick. But anyway, I wish I could have told you that I had a really serious setup of a camera and lenses and stuff, but I really, I'm sorry, Claude, I used a cell phone. And afterwards, I realized that because we're in a very cold area, I have to protect my clivias from frost, and I had frost cloth on. So I used the natural light from a window, and there were clivias inside of the window, and I had frost cloth on. So I had the diffuser, and I never even knew. But anyway, so yes, I was, in the end, I was very glad I entered into the competition, but I didn't have a lot of serious apparatus with me.
So I'm going to ask Chris to speak about the next slide, and that is seed cells.
Yeah, we all are familiar with the various seed cells, and I think this is where and like Marianne has also indicated earlier on, where you would like your photos to be as true as possible. In my case, again, if I can tell you what I do is I use my cell phone, like I've said earlier on, and sometimes you have to take 20 photos to see that that photo is more or less what the clavia looks like. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I think that's what this discussion is also about. I think that people say some people are fiddling with the photos, and we will get to it as we carry on. But yeah, many of us are using seed cells, seedlings or plants, and we use photos for that.
That's it. Well, I also take my photographs with a cell phone, but I've learned from the clever photographers, early morning light, overcast weather, out of your shade house. So that really does improve your photos and make them more realistic.
Yeah, I take the photos in either early morning or late evening. When buying plants, you normally only get a picture or a photograph of the umbel. And when I buy plants, I ask to have the umbel taken from all sides, so I ask for a video of the entire umbel. And then I like to see the umbel in perspective with the rest of the plant. So I want to see the leaves. I want close-ups of the leaves as well, and I want the leaves and the umbel together. And I also advise people who buy plants from me, if they don't see the actual clavia flowering, they should ask the exact same questions and have photographs all around of the entire flower and leaves.
How many days do you have for this topic?
I'll manage you, don't worry.
Remember, we are busy with information, photographs and animations and videos and text are all media in which we convey information. So I studied usability at the universities to see what people prefer, what people like, what people learn better from. And that's why although we know that one picture speaks 1,000 words, so we must avoid words and use pictures when we communicate or when we convey information. Video is even better than pictures because a video can convey much more information, and people are more, they prefer video over photographs, but video takes up a lot of data. So that's a problem that we have. And then lastly, we are all trying, and we've got a technical problem because nobody sees what I see when I photograph the photo, because they are watching my photos on different screens. So what I've learned is you must keep in mind the technology of the average user that is going to look at your photo. So don't produce photos for the top-end technology. Produce photos for the middleman, the kind of general public.
Thank you, Andre. So we had virtual shows within the clubs in 2020 and 2021. You can still remember those days when we had shutdown. So there's some examples of some of the clubs. Chris, if you can say one or two things, because the preparation of photos for the Clivia Society's Interspec virtual show, or the virtual show itself, creates its own challenge because it becomes a competition, not necessarily about the plants, but a competition among the photographers.
Yeah, I think it was out of a pure fluke. It was a good invention. It's in a direction of being able to have virtual competition. I think you can reach so many more people. There's so many advantages. You can actually take photos different times of the year, and where a plant not always get a chance to be on a show. In case of virtual competitions, you can take a photo and you can, when it flowers, and you can put it on a show. So I think it's a good thing. In fact, I think we should encourage people to partake more into this competition.
Okay, so the other important part where we use photos is as part of our shows. Although there's a physical exhibition, a lot of those photos ends up in spaces on our Facebooks. So I've is it you or is it me? It looks like me. It looks like me. So I would like Cora to quickly reflect on their experience from the Northern Free State, or the Free State perspective, on what's happening during their shows and from a photography perspective.
Yes, I would say that it's far different from, of course, a virtual show. So on our show, we have a photographer that comes along and takes photos, and then also, of course, of the winners, and that is sent on to the different publications of the society. So once again, there you have the responsibility to at least send a decent photo so that it is a good portrayal of what the winners were looking like. So I think in the Free State, we are doing it very well.
Thank you, Cora. So you will also see, and I think I'm glad Liz is here because she always tells me we don't want to announce in our club the winners before we handed out the prizes. So I always send the people in the Clivia shows, and I publish the people as part of the shows, and then Liz will say, stop the people, I want to see the photos. But we can only do that on Sunday because our prize giving is on Friday. So thank you for always reminding us, Liz. But there's also people involved, and I sometimes try to display that. Chris, a Cape Town perspective on the shows?
Yeah, I think it's actually quite important. In your case, there's a timing issue. But I'm not sure if we've done it so well this year, although I haven't been on my phone for a while. But, people are anxious to find out who are the winners. And I agree with Cora. At least you should have somebody that can take decent photos of the winning plants and maybe the winners and announce it. So, yeah, it's very important.
So then we also, and you can remember that as part of 2020, we started the virtual thank to Glenn that bought the license for Zoom, and we became Zoom masters. So we had quite a few meetings on Zoom. I captured year one where I think this was April 2021, where Picky presented in that one, but I captured the faces. So you might see familiar faces there. It is at their houses, so sometimes it's still in pajamas, some of them. It doesn't show it sometimes they forget to put down their camera and they walk around. So we also had the virtual shows. We still have a facility. The last meetings, and I'm talking to the facility, not necessarily the photography, is that I do think we underuse it, Lynn, because you've got the license, and I think we really need to do something to increase that community, because it takes the barriers away, traveling, having meetings, etc., etc. So I think there's an opportunity to increase that. Then, as you saw last night, one of the critical things that we use photos for, you be the judge. Maybe I should ask one or two of the other clubs to respond in terms of how do you do your auctions. So I've put up ours, the Pretoria Club, Northens, and I've put a picture of what happened last night. So maybe one of our foreign visitors, do you in your space?
North America Clivia Society did have an auction about a month and a half before I came here, and they did it via Zoom. All the pictures of the plants were posted for them to bid on them.
Brilliant. So they did it via Zoom. We didn't go, any of our clubs didn't go there yet. I think there's an opportunity. Zoom, yeah. So thank you for that one, Carol. It makes sense to also do a Zoom auction. I think that's a good plan for the 2026 conference to include the community, the bigger community, but then we need to make sure that the photos and the standards about it is in place. So that is a good idea. Can I then, so let me leave the auctions, and then there was quite a few virtual presentations that heavily relied on photos as part of the person's presentation. So this was Davie Strydon's presentation to our club when he spoke about his Chinese blushes. A lot of other people attended, and I think that's a very nice presentation from Davie that time because a lot of people could attend it. And then also there's Paul Klook and Hubert on this photo. When they visited Japan, and I took it from Davie, but you can also see they brought pictures and layouts of clubs that we didn't experience always, and they brought that photos with. And it is very important. Why? Because we can experience immediately what's happening in some of the other countries. Okay, so that was, I took that one from Davie Strydon's. And then this was Picky's presentation online. A lot of you attended. So I'm going to stop with the panel there, and I'm going to ask you a few questions regarding your personal experience, creating the context in terms of using the photos.
My personal experience is that you make sure that it's close as possible to the actual plant, and don't give a, how can I call it, not the right thing I say, to the public. Because they are also on most of these groups that we are on, and you tend to throw your name away if you give a photo and the actual plant gets to you, and that's not what you've ordered or bought.
So can I ask Thijs then to also respond? When you're as close to that photo, do you crop it? Do you change the color a little bit?
That's actually misleading the public or misleading the guy that's buying it.
Colleagues, so remember what Cora said, is there's different aims that you take pictures for. So if you want to really show it to the true color, then there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong to look at the picture and then on your camera use the artificial intelligence from your specific camera to make sure that it's a true version of the photo. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, thank you for that one. I want to go to Sophia because
I've got the same problem than Dave. I struggle immensely to get the right photo for a bronze. I don't know whether it's the Wellington sunshine and extreme heat, I try in the morning, I try in the evening, it doesn't work.
It's just like Dave said, I can do what I want to, I never get the photo I would like. To me it's important, I rather leave it than take a photo which is not true, because it doesn't show what I want it to show. But I've got something else to say maybe a bit later, and that is, I see photos and then I don't trust any photo anymore. So I'm a bit worried about my attitude towards that. Thanks.
Okay, so what Frans is saying is there is professionals that can adjust, and it might create a better picture, or it might create a problem picture, or there might be not so competent people like some of us that can't take pictures, but you place it anyway. I'll give you, let's ask Belinda quickly. So, and therefore, it's a sort of a question of upskilling.
But the thing is, I've found if I take a picture and it looks okay on my camera, if I look at my husband's camera right next to it, they look different. So it might look right for me, but what you see is something completely different.
Okay, so that is an important one. Chris, you want to respond to that? Different cameras, different technology bases.
Again, I think that is what, to some extent, is nice about, when you use a thing like a cell phone, is you must keep on trying to get what the plant looks like, be it different background, be it different times of the day, but at least you can walk around and you can use different areas and try and get it as close as possible. Because what I'm hearing is some people are not so, well-trained in taking photos, and maybe that is something for the clubs to attend to. We help people how to prepare plants for shows, but how much do we do to help people to take photos, decent photos? But I think the bottom line is that you need to try and get something as close as what it is.
So, because creating the context is very important. So this is what we're going to cover in the next discussion. And I must say, I really found it difficult because Prof. Google don't know the oldest photo. And I'm not sure if Glenn, you know the oldest photo that's been taken.
There are historical records staying away. There was a missionary up there who took photos of a group of, on a picnic, on the riverbed. Now this goes back to the late 1800s, and in that photograph, they all had clivias in there. Some were yellow, and others being black and white, we couldn't tell, but I think we could detect it were yellows from the black and white photograph. Now, Felix is a pity he's not here because he has these photographs. He spent days looking for the site and eventually found it and found a lost yellow colony from those photographs. So all I'm saying is that the importance of historical photographs, very, very important. And perhaps if we can find them, we could send them to Glenn, who could perhaps publish them. There you are. We don't all read the magazines.
It sounds so Glenn said there is some publications, but I also think a lot of paintings during that time, because if you can remember, and I think that brings me to the next section, so there's some photos, and I think this is the most recent photo of any show in South Africa in 2023 in Cape Town, and I took that photo on Saturday. And I want to also, as part of the context, just take you back a little bit in history, because this was a very big shift that took place from film to digital. And I think lots of you can still remember that age because it was the Kodak age. Cora? You want to respond?
I think Yes, we all have these negatives, I assume. And then it was quite difficult initially to have to get all of these things on digital and on your computer and to sort them and to store them so that you could recover them. Because we were all used to having negatives and films, and we even had the slides. And then gradually we had to become accustomed to the digital age. And that is where we are now. I think we are even going into a next era as we speak. But I think it was a great thing to see how this changed. It also made it much easier because at first these seedlets didn't have photos and you had to rely on a description. So with the photos, it makes it far easier to see what the crosses are, the parent plants, what they look like. So the digital age made it much easier for us as clivier enthusiasts as well.
Still remember those days of Polaroid where you take a picture and it comes automatically? Not the youngsters, I assume. So, and therefore there's always also this, often you will hear that film is back because the legacy comes back. And I'm not sure, Stephen, you went through these stages as from film to Polaroid to digital. Okay, so let me go to the next one. So, and as Cora said, we're currently on the verge where even the Canon and the Nokia camera, all the SLRs are having a technology explosion because it's moving away from prismas to mirrors. And the cameras are getting smaller and much more powerful. So, but I'm not going to let us speak about it. I also ask Professor Google to give us a list of the best cameras that are currently in 2023 available that's been reviewed. So there's a list of 8 of them. It seems Apple is at the forefront. But then it goes back to what Belinda said. Where do you draw the line? If I send an Apple photo to a Samsung will never allow me, as an Apple owner, to have a better photo on Samsung than their own cameras can take. And I can guarantee you there's a lot of artificial intelligence behind that. So the next section is this one, and I'm going to run through it. And so what we did in this section is I've asked the panel to send me photos that they personally took, because it makes it easier for them, safer for them to discuss. So, Chris, that photo is yours. Can you speak to it?
Yeah, just as an illustration, this photo was taken literally half a minute, few seconds, the one from the other. Same spot, same plant, same cell phone. And it just by the way you turn your phone, and look, I'm not professional, I just play around with these things. And that's the point I've tried to make earlier. You must now decide, taking the photo, I must decide, looking at the plant and looking at the photo, which one is the closest. In this particular case, the one on the right was very close to the plant itself. So that's what I would do, is I would take 2, 3, 4, 5 photos, have a look at them, look at the plant, and then I wipe out the rest.
This was an instance also within the same minute. So if I looked at the time, it was exactly the same minute on the cell phone. And, I tried to get exactly the right color, and I couldn't. It was something in between those. So it wasn't the left or the right, because the left one was just too orange, and the right one was just too pink. So I never got the right one at that specific stage. And now I know that people have a look at the photos and they say, oh, I see those blue leaves, and that means it's not accurate. And you must be careful of that, because remember, all these cameras, whether they are cameras on the automatic setting or it's your cell phone, they all rely on programs. It's not like Claude, who does the settings himself. All these cameras, and I'm very glad to see that the Apple is now at the top, but they all have different programs. So those guys sat there and decided what the settings should be, where Claude decides it. So you must remember that you think you're taking the photo, but there's a program doing it for you. And what Chris says is that, remember, this was at the same time, exactly the same circumstances, and you get different results, and even there I didn't get a result that I was satisfied with.
Yeah, here again, same plant. I just found the one on taken under lights inside with the cell phone against the black background, slightly better in what the plant looks like. Normally, I found the other way around. I take the plant outside and to try and see if I can get closer. In this particular case, the one inside was closer to the true one. But just to illustrate again, you got to play around, and if you want it as true as possible, to come up with that one. I just tried to illustrate a little bit of fiddling. I mean, I could see everybody picks it up. Same spot, same plant, and I just put my little braille light on number one on the left-hand side, and it just brings out a little bit of a pink shine to the plant. But that was just to show you that you can be naughty.
We also did a real-time experiment this morning. So I'm going to, and Chris going to speak to it. So we asked 3 people to take a picture from their own cell phones, then WhatsApp it to me. So there was an interference already. But this is the 3 pictures that were taken this morning from a plant in this venue. So that was the first picture. I think it was from Samsung, and I think we have it too. Okay, so 3 photographers, 3 different photos. Chris, you want to speak to that quickly? Because I see we need to pick up some time, but I think it's an important one.
Yeah, just I think this is that nobody was warned. I asked 2 other people, and I took one photo. And just to illustrate how quickly, if you look at those, you may think it's different plants if you haven't seen the background. So that's exactly to illustrate the point.
So let's go to the last one, slide number 3 or section number 3, and this is where I'm going to ask you to let me go back to number 3. Striking a balance. So let's skip 3 and then go to 4. And I want you to quickly in the tables, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes. In each of your tables, have a discussion on what is your moral responsibility as a breeder, as a photographer, to the community of Clivia people, specifically from a photo perspective.
Yeah, we had a brief discussion, and we came to the conclusion that the ethics is a very, very important part of either presenting a photograph of your plant or your flower, either to an individual on just show off, or if you are wanting to sell that particular plant or sell seeds from that plant. So the ethics we saw were very, very important. Some people said that they'd actually purchased a flower or a plant from someone based on the photograph they saw, and when they got the plant, they were very disappointed because it looked totally different to the actual picture that they originally saw. So that was our comment. Thank you.
We feel that a grower has got the responsibility to put a photo out there that's very close to the plant. Rather not take the photo, rather not put the photo out there if you don't do it accurately. Unfortunately, the unscrupulous people make it very tough on the honest person that does take a good photo, because you just look at it and you just flick past because you know the chances are good it's been manipulated. And I think we saw an example over that side today. It's got to be accurate, otherwise don't do it.
While Dave is on this, I want to jump to the second one. So what is the consequences of having misleading photos.
That's the tragedy, because everybody gets painted with the same brush. All growers will get painted with the same, or sellers will get painted with the same brush.
Okay, so in the science we call that stereotyping. Okay.
Well, first of all, this group is entirely agreed that it is the responsibility of somebody who's either in competition for sale or for the purpose of getting recognition of their abilities, that you need to be scrupulously honest. We absolutely agreed with that. Now, I just want to add a little conundrum to that. When I was courting my wife, I brushed my teeth, combed my hair, used deodorant, dressed nicely, and she married me. Since then, I'm a little less good about brushing my hair, brushing my teeth, and all the rest. Now, the question is, when I put my best foot forward, was I being dishonest or deceptive, or was I just showing the side that looked better?
My response will be only she will know what side is the best.
We heard the same sentiment as everybody else, but if it might help with your sales originally, but it will catch up and bite you. So, but eventually it's going to hurt you in the long run. Your reputation will be damaged.
While Gianpaolo is on the mic, can you respond to the last one, the last point there? Do we need to declare, like Frans said, I'm not the best picture taker, so therefore my pictures are not the best. What do you think in terms of declaring the last point?
Yeah, I suppose, but then you've got an issue like you don't really know what the plant is that you're going to be purchasing, and it's a nice photo, but does it really serve us in the long run?
Okay, so let me go to the next slide. So, and I'm going to jump to the second bullet. Do you think we should have norms as a society? And this also linked to what we said yesterday about taking plants from the habitat, but this is a different perspective, but I think on the same one. What should we have norms? And I'm not going to ask you to respond, because the natural thing is, panel, there should be norms. Cora?
I feel that you must be held to a higher standard of accuracy if you're asking somebody to buy a very expensive plant. We saw how expensive they can become last night. And seeds have also become very expensive. So in that regard, I feel we need a very high standard.
Thank you for that one, Cora. So I want to show you how easy it became, and we heard with the previous presentation that artificial intelligence is playing a bigger and bigger role. So what I'm going to show you is, and this is what the wildlife photographers use. This is one of the artificial programs. So I screenshot his comment, and this is one that he used. So look at the two. It might be a little bit difficult to see on this screen, but the before photo and the after photo, the first photo was very blurry, and then the computer or artificial intelligence correct that for you. Okay, and it seems that the wildlife photographers accept that as a good practice.
Welcome to a quick demonstration of how AI is revolutionizing the way we enhance our photos. Today, we're exploring a powerful tool by Stability, AI called Clip Drop. Let's dive right in. We'll start by uploading a photo. I've chosen this beautiful clivia for our demonstration. It takes just a moment for the photo to upload. While we wait, it's fascinating to think about how AI understands the nuances of light and shadow, something that traditionally required a trained human eye and not accessible to everyone. And there we have it. Our clivia is ready. Now let's see how we can make its colors pop even more with just a few toggles. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice 3 distinct round circles on our image. These aren't just any circles. They represent virtual light sources shining down on our clivia. Let's start by adding a 4th light. Each of these lights can be manipulated in real time. See how the clivia's colors become more vibrant or subdued as we change the light's intensity. It's like having a studio lighting setup right at your fingertips. Observe the light at the bottom left, now turning a vibrant green to highlight the flower's leaves. Adjusting its color to a radiant green, We aim to magnify the natural beauty of the flower's leaves. Watch closely as the hues intensify and the leaves come to life. Now divert your attention to the trio of red lights. Our 3 red lights are next, adjusting intensity, distance, and radius. Each change refines the flower's illumination. Let's keep our background pristine. We'll remove any lighting effects from it. Finally, the lights disappear, revealing their magic. Compare the before and after. In moments, we've transformed an ordinary flower into a radiant masterpiece.
So this is examples of prominent photo editing tools that is available. There's 9 of them, and there's another 6 of them there, or another 9, 12, and 9. So ladies, take notice of the one in the left-hand corner. Okay. So, and I'm going to conclude now, so for the sake of time. So what we as a panel decided to have ready for you is to say that it seems there is a need for the average Clivian to have a code of conduct of some sorts. And I'm not going to give you time to have a discussion about it because of time, but I think this is something that the society need to consider and look at this. So there's 6 points in this preamble: authentic representation, disclosure of modification, staging and scene setting, technology and tools, integrity in sales and competitions, and a badge. And you will think, so let me go to the badge system too quickly. So a badge system is basically like the SAB, South African Bureau of Standards, that put approval on that one. And you will immediately think that this is far-fetched. And I want to show you that actually we are already using the badge system in the Clivia sales environment, and there is 3 examples. So Sean, though he's not here, they have the KZN Clivia Breeders Association. When they sell seeds, there's a few people that come together because they have the same integrity and trust, and have trust in their sales and the people that sells on that site. Then Clivia Mart, you know all Picky and Michael, and previously Tino Ferreira was part of that, and a few others. At the bottom, you have James Wildflower. So part of that group was, at one stage, Hilton Afferston, Gerard Faber, Mark Lewis. So they got together, and I think there's an opportunity for us, and I'm putting this to the executive of the society. Why should we not have a badge that comes from the society that says, if you sign this code of conduct, you get this badge as a Clivia Society recognized breeder. And that stamp then come on your Clivia sales as a approved, quality assured breeder. Okay, and I'm going to leave it there. So there's a few things, and I want to summarize quickly. Thank you, panel. I really appreciate your input. That is the things that we looked at this morning. And the only thing I can say for the Americans and the English people, buy a donkey when you go out.